Part 1. Entering the Way. The Teacher's Search. In the year 1960, one of the most monumentous events in the secret history of China took place on one night on a sacred mountain crag unknown to all the world. The night was brightly lit by the moon. From above, and pleasantly refreshed by an ocean breeze from below. 3 old men, lonely heirs to an ancient knowledge, sat outside a secret cave on holy Mount Lao, deep in meditation. Mount Lao, or Lao Shan in Chinese, is not well known to many people outside of China. To lay people there, it is the source of most excellent water. It initiates and pilgrims. It is said one of the sacred sites of Taoism, China's original wisdom tradition, the world's oldest science. Mount Lao faces the sea on 2 sides, east and south. Steep and imposing, it seems to rise from the very ocean floor. The mountain is scattered with enormous boulders and huge rocks, and covered with all sorts of plants and trees. The waves of the sea roar at its feet, white clouds encircle its waist. When you sit on the mountainside gazing at the sea as the sun rises, you feel an enormous sense of transcendence beyond the ordinary world. Thus, Mount Lao came to be treasured by Taoist seekers as a place to cultivate realization and deepen their essential nature. Over the centuries, many famous Taoist masters have practiced their secret lore on Mount Lao. Through the years, many Taoist cloisters were built on the mountain. There are many secret caves and the defiles covered by the foliage and vines, extremely difficult of access and known only to a few. The 3 old men sitting on the mountainside that moonlit night in 1960 were masters of the Dragon Gate sect of the Complete Reality School of Taoism, holders of the secrets and capacities long believed legendary. Zhang Hadao, wayfarer of the infinite, was a 17th generation transmitter of the Dragon Sect Gate, a disciple of the Grand Master Zhang Hadao. He was 72 years old at that time, formerly an instructor at Haobang Military Academy. He was an advanced expert in martial arts. He was also an expert at the abacus and was known as the uncanny calculator. Gu Jiaha, wayfarer of pure emptiness, was another disciple of Zhang Hadao, and also chosen as a 17th generation transmitter of the Dragon Gate sect. He had a unique method of curing illness by acupuncture without actually inserting needles into the body. Because of this, he was popularly known as the Infinite Acupuncturist. Over the preceding year, the 3 Taoist masters have been engrossed in secret consultations about a matter of utmost importance, not only to them, but to the world at large. Advanced in age, they were trying to find a successor, an individual who would bear the knowledge that would enable him to become the 18th generation transmitter of the Dragon Gate Taoism. The Taoist School of Complete Reality was founded 9 centuries ago when northern China, an ancient homeland, cultural center of the Chinese people, was overrun by mounted warriors of the steppes. The mission of the school during this crisis was to preserve not only the inner teachings of Taoism, but also the inner teachings of Buddhism and Confucianism as well. Taoists of the Complete Reality School look upon 5 people as northern ancestors: Wang Zhanbu, Zhongli Huan, Liu Dongmin, Liu Haizhao, and Wang Chongyang. 7 outstanding disciples of the last named Master Wang are known. 7 outstanding disciples of the last named Master Wang are known as the 7 realized ones of the Northland. northern China. This is northern Alaska, actually south central Anchorage. Appointed him head of all religions of China under the Khan. Secrets inconceivable even to other Chinese, let alone people of the West, are still held within Dragon's Gate. Even to this very day, such is the power of inner teachings that the three elder masters of the 16th and 17th generations spent countless hours in deep meditation on the problem of finding an heir to this knowledge. Who dat? So the new transmitter the elders sought turned out to be a youth named Wang Lepeng, who was 11 years old in 1960. Wang Lepeng is born in 1949, precisely in the middle of the lunar year. People who know him say he was different even as a child. He could always locate misplaced articles around the house and never failed to find his playmates at hide and seek, no matter how well they were hidden. Wang Lepeng was born in a large city in northeastern China and then moved with his parents to an ancient fortress town near famous Ever-White Mountain, Shangabai Shan. Through the district of the forest, town cuts Yongding, the turbid river, which has its source in the depths of Ever-White Mountain, blocked by a mountain and facing a river. The fortress town has an extraordinary energetic force in its atmosphere, with black gold in the ground. It is called Coal City, and has thrived all the more in modern times. The new city is an ancient fortress town and where Wang Lepeng has lived most of his life. The Wang families were an important clan in the region, one whose ancestors had been distinguished. In the time of Wang Lepeng's father, his family was not as it had once been, but he still managed to graduate from Fangding Tang Industrial College, which was considered no mean feat in those days. Mother Wang was a good-natured, kindly woman. She gave birth to 4 sons and 2 daughters, all lively and robust, except for the second son, Lepeng, who was slight and weakly. When Lepeng was 1 year old, there was a fire in the Wang house, lost to commotion. Baby Lepeng got burned on the head, although the burn healed all right. After that, child continued to suffer from headaches, and his eyesight was also affected. To his mother's dismay, furthermore, none of the doctors they consulted were able to help the boy. The Wang family had many children, and back then in the late 1950s and early 1960s, everyday life in China was hard, even for childhood. Lepeng was a kind and dutiful, mannerly, and deferential, so naturally he was protective of his younger brothers and sisters, even when that way with his neighborhood friends and his playmates. Even when another child wanted anything and Wang Lepeng happened to have it, he would give it away freely. One day in autumn of 1962, as the Wings and Wangs were eating their noon meal, heard a loud call at the door. A mouthful of food, please. Now life had been very difficult for the past few years, so there were many people fleeing destitution and seeking food all the way from Central Plains to the Northeast. Whenever people came to the door begging, Mother Wang would gladly give out some meat or something, This time it was Lepeng who was the first to get up on hearing the beggar's cry at the door. Before his mother could arise from the table, he had already grabbed a few vegetable dumplings and was on his way to the door with them. When he opened the door, Lepeng was startled by what he saw. There was 3 old men standing there. They looked quite different from the sorts of people who usually came begging. These old men looked kindly and benevolent, and though their clothes were worn and tattered, they stood erect, like young, strong men, their bearing firm and steady, their presence projecting an air of vigor and strength. Open the door. The three old men reached for the dumplings Lepeng had brought, gobbling them down at once, without a word, the old men extending their hands again as if to ask for more. Somewhat disconcerted, Leping went inside without a dough and fetched mulled dumplings for the old man. After they had eaten these, the old man exchanged glances and set off in high spirits. Mulling over the oddness of the event, when Leping looked up, the old man had already disappeared without a trace. Although we didn't know at the time, young Wang Leping had good reasons to be disconcerted about this encounter. As it turned out, the three men were not ordinary people, but Taoist wizards, who had long been living and hiding in the mountain caves, practicing secret arts. In reality, they had not come down from the mountains to beg for food, but to find their heir to their knowledge. Taoism is in the native religion of China. It is most direct and universal functions for people in the ordinary world, and our recognition of natural laws, promotion of health, prevention of illness, prolongation of life, and stimulation of the development of culture and civilization based on successful cooperation between humanity and nature, and between the individual and society as a whole. The three Taoist masters who came to find Wang Leping had spent many years in the mountain caves cultivating themselves. They had already reached the highest realms of attainment in both inner and outer exercises, far beyond the scope of ordinary Taoists. In order to find a successor, they had used their inner vision, as well as a special prognostication book handed on their secret sect. Arriving in the conclusion that the individual they were looking for had already been in the world for over 10 years, they made preparations to leave the mountain to find him. And they did. And they ate them dumplings. Their journey to meet their heir took over 2 months, with more time taken healing and helping local people along the way than in traveling. Charity and service are part of the Taoist tradition, whether practiced openly or in secret. After the three wizards have reached the home of Wang Leping that day and found their spiritual heir, their hardships of the road seemed to vanish into thin air. They talked and laughed on the way back an abandoned building where they had taken up lodging. Shaking the dust off themselves, they sat back to wait for Wang Leping to come back looking for them. As for the youth, after his first encounter with the three wizards that day, Leping couldn't shake the urge to go looking for them. A fifth grader at the time, he was in a daze all that afternoon at school. After classes, instead of walking home with his classmates as usual, he found himself absent-mindedly wandering around, ultimately wending his way toward the place where the masters had pitched camp. Wang Leping found the old men sitting in a shed, talking and laughing among themselves. Mesmerized, he sat down to listen to them. The teachers had found their disciple, and a future transmitter of the Dragon Gate Taoism had found his guides. So in the autumn of 1962, Wang Leping began a course of apprenticeship in Taoist wizardry that was to last for 15 years. Number 2.